And what were those hard moments? Because you had, I mean, you went and basically separated from your family, and you were singularly focused on what you were doing. And that took a lot of sacrifices that I don't think a lot of people see.
Yeah, it was a hard journey. I started a full-time job when I was 17 as a truck mechanic. I was working 60 hours a week, doing, on the spanners, fixing trucks. At 18, I started up my first, like a security business. I was running a lot of the security in Stoke-on-Trent. I mean, all in total, I was working 80 plus hours a week, plus running accounts, plus paying people, plus filling in on doors as well, doing the doors myself because people would always let me down. And that went on for, the best part of 8 to 9 years, nearly probably 10 years of working 80 plus hours a week, plus training 20 hours a week. I mean, this is what my days consist of. I get up at 6 a.m., I would eat, go to work, do a 10-hour day at work, finish it like 5, half 5. I'll go to the gym, I train for 4 hours, so I'd be training until sort of 9:30 at night. And then I'd be home, it'd be a meal, and then straight to bed. And if I'm doing that, 6, 7 days a week, I wasn't seeing my wife, I wasn't seeing my kids. I'm not joking when I say this, I probably wasn't seeing my wife and kids for more than 2 hours a week.
A week.
And that was a big sacrifice. And when I got to say 24, 25, that really got even worse. And this is when I started taking it a bit more seriously. Those 1 or 2 hours got took away, and it's like, right, I'm sorry, babe, but I need to do my physio. I need to do my stretching. I need to go do my hot cold. And it got less and less and less. And I think my darkest year was probably 2016 to 17, that last year of the strongman. I was just absolutely obsessed. And I think, my wife can vouch for that. I was ill. I was ill to the point of being obsessed with the strongman.
Mentally ill.
Mentally ill. Like, just obsessed. Like,
just obsessed. That was
obsessed. I all I could talk about was strongman. All I could think about was strongman. All I ever said was strongman, all I ever acted was strongman. And, I literally wasn't seeing my wife and kids at all. So for 365 days, my routine was get up, eat, back to bed, eat, back to bed, go and train, back to bed, go and eat, back to bed. It was just a regiment. I was military precision day in, day out. And I did that for 365 days. And I remember going into World's Strongest Man 2017. And I remember just before the last event, I thought, no matter what, at least out of all the guys here, I know for a fact I tried the hardest. There's no way anyone put more dedication in than me. Whether I came first, second, third, or last, I couldn't have stood on that second place spot and said, oh, well, I lost because I missed a meal 6 months ago, or I missed a training session a month ago. I couldn't have said that because I didn't. Because for 365 days solid, I didn't miss one meal, one physio session, one hyperbaric, one training. I was just so regimented. And just imagine getting up every day and doing that every single day for 365 days, never having a day off. And there were some times where, I'd get in, I'd come in from a training session at 10:30 at night, and I'd eat a meal, and then I'd go and sit in a hyperbaric chamber on my own for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whilst my wife and kids were in the house sleeping. I'd never see them. And I'd be sitting in this chamber that I'd have to pressurize to 30 psi, breathe through an oxygen pipe, tiny little perspex window at the bottom of my garden, all on my own, no electronics, no TV, no nothing. And I'd just sit in this chamber looking through this little perspex window for an hour and a half every single day at the end of the day. And those were the dark moments. Those were the ones where it was like, this is too tough now. I was in there and I was thinking, shall I just end this? It was just too much. I mean, it was always my nan that sprung to mind. It was like, no, you've got to keep going.
You gotta just keep going.
Got to do it.
A few more months.
Yeah, that's what it always was. And that's what I always said to my wife. It was always, oh, just this little bit more, just 2 more weeks, just 3 more weeks, just 5 more weeks.
But nobody wants to hear that over and over again.
They
right?
don't.
You separated before that contest, right?
We had a very bad sort of relationship about 4 or 5 weeks before the World's Strongest Man, where obviously I didn't see my wife for the best part of a year. You know, we might as well not have been married. My kids didn't have a dad. And this is what really upsets me the most at that time, is that, you know, I had a daughter that was at the time 7 years old, 8 years old. I didn't know her. I didn't know my daughter. I didn't know my son, because I just didn't spend any time with them whatsoever. There was no birthday. I didn't do birthdays. I didn't do meals out. I didn't do christenings. I didn't do anything because I was so regimented. And she always threw that in my face, you know. As she says, I don't really give a fuck about me and you, but it's what you're doing to Max. It's what you're doing to Layla that's wrong. And she was right in a way. It was pretty mean, really, as a father, to sacrifice all that family time for his own selfish goal, you know? And 5 weeks before the World's Strongest Man, obviously, these are the crucial sort of, training's picking up a pace. And we're getting, you know, I'm coming in from training sessions, I'm broke. I'm training for 4 or 5 hours. I'm walking through the house and I'm injured all the time. I'm sore from head to toe. It's like I've been in a car crash every day. And then my wife wants to talk. And I'm like, not tonight. But it was like that every night. And in the end, it was, you know, one day she's gone, you know, she's not at home. I'm like, where are you? I've had enough. I'm fucking fed up, Eddie. I can't live like this. I can't be your slave. All she was doing was cooking, cleaning, doing my laundry, you know, doing my meals. And I was just treating her like a maid. And when I look back, she was my own personal slave. And, you know, it just helping me win the World's Strongest Man. And I just said, right, I said, well, I've got 5 weeks till the World's Strongest Man. I said, I can't give up now. I said, go and stay at your dad's, whatever. I said, but once this 5 weeks are done, I'm done. Once I've won this World's Strongest Man, we're going to go back to normal. You know, we're going to go back to husband and wife, and my kids are going to have a dad again. And so I convinced her to sort of hang on for me for this last 5 weeks. And I think if she had have left me, it would have destroyed me. But I knew at the end of it, there was a marriage there. And that's what really, you know, got my head down and went to this very, very dark place for the last 5 weeks. And just, I mean, I came into it's like I said, I came into the World's Strongest Man without a single excuse. Not one. Not a one. And I was just so confident going into the World's Strongest Man. And there was no way I was losing that title. I was beyond confident. I'd already spent the prize money before I got there, you know? It was just a ridiculous amount of confidence. And I delivered. You know, I strolled into World's Strongest Man and I absolutely smashed him. I out-squatted him, I out-pressed him, I outran him. There was nobody can deny that I was the strongest man on the planet that day. And that very rarely happens at World's Strongest Man. You know, you can say, oh, he got lucky, or, you know, good events, but there was none of that. You know, I dominated. There was no question. And with the 500 kilo deadlift to back it up, if you think you're stronger than me, go and beat that world record. Because in my eyes, you ask any strongman the question, what defines a man? What defines an athlete? What defines a strength athlete? If you had to say one lift, what defines the strongest man in history? And they'll all say the deadlift. Who can pick up the most weight from the floor to his hips? And that man's me. So in my eyes, I think, in my opinion, I am the strongest man in history that's ever lived. So I've picked up the most weight from the floor. And I don't think there's any argument for that. People could say, oh, he's only won one title. I only wanted one title, you know? I proved my dominance and I proved I could live half a ton off the floor. Everyone else is still yet to come and prove it.
Did you have a word with your nan after you won that thing?
I did. I think if you watched the final, when I won my winning interview, I'm pointing to the sky and I'm thanking my nan for all that support and guidance, you know, through whatever means it was there.
Day afterwards, how is that day not different than the birthday party?
Oh, geez.
You know, and if I was your wife, why would I believe you by saying only 5 weeks left, you know? So that's, you know, that's the real question. But this was different, right?
It is different. I mean, this was the ultimate goal. And this one, obviously, this meant the most to me. 500 kilo was great. You know, it proved a lot of point. But I think the World's Strongest Man's always been that ultimate goal. I say to be the alpha, even just for one day, that's what I wanted. I just wanted to prove I could do it. And I suppose the next day, I mean, the phone calls homes, you know, the phone call homes were very, very emotional, as you can imagine, you know, mum, dad, brothers, sisters, I haven't got a sister,
Yeah.
wife, you know, kids. It was very emotional, you know, all that relief, all that stress just lifted off my shoulders. You know, I've got my marriage back. I've got my wife back.